All right, guys. I'm gonna start this.
Do
What's
it.
up, YouTube? Neji YGO here. I got some guests of mine that go to my locals. The names are James and Abdul, and we are gonna be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh and what we think of it right now. Is it trash? Is it fun? We don't know. Time to find out. All right. So, what I am sharing with you guys right now is a little flow chart that I made in like 5 minutes. We're going to be first talking about current meta. Is it dead? Do we think that it's worth playing and or testing in right now? We're going to be talking about the North America World Championship qualifier meta and how different we think that's going to be and how you should prepare for it. And then we're going to transition that into a mentality going into locals versus an event like the NAWCQ and how that affects deck building. So, if both of you guys want to say hi, say what's up.
Hi guys, my name is Abdul. I am a local Yu-Gi-Oh enjoyer with Mr. Neji.
Hey, I'm James. I mostly judge higher tier events, but I do play a lot of locals.
Cool.
Shout out to our
Yep. James is an awesome judge, and as far as deck choices go, I will say Abdul and I have dabbled more in the rogue-ish range, and
Hey, I play fun decks too.
I think James plays the shifter decks.
Whoa.
That's the flu.
Hey, I played Voices for like 3 months.
Flu best deck,
You
baby. Voice of the Sap. All right, so awesome. Well, given those perspectives, let's talk about this thing right here. Current meta discussion. So, I'd like to just start off by saying, meta changes. It feels like every month probably, and at least that's a good sign in my opinion. Is that when you have a rotating meta, I think it keeps things fresh. I think a lot of times when we've had best decks, singular best decks, it has kept a format stagnant and kind of hard to enjoy because, yeah, everyone knows what cards to side and what cards to main, and then things just get a little repetitive and maybe not quite as enjoyable to some, others maybe. But right now, I think we're kind of in that low point where we're right before a larger event, but still, there's some events going on worldwide, right? Like maybe some of you guys know the other larger World Championship qualifiers that have been happening. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I think we're in a little bit of a lull.
Well, people are just preparing for because the next big events are not current format technically,
Right.
so that's why it's just kind of dead for now.
Right.
I think what's typical with Yu-Gi-Oh, especially like when we're getting close towards a ban list, a lot of times people feel like it's stale just because people really want change or are looking forward to change. So I think usually towards that tail end, especially since we're going to be getting a new set next month that's supposed to, get extra support, and then soon with like Justice Hunters with the Draco tail, I think is what it's called here, and the Yummies, which I'll be playing, of course, and the K9, which mixed with VS, which I know Neji's a fan of VS.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
I think that sometimes, we really look forward to things, especially when there's, hyped up archetypes, especially since we see a lot of things in the OCG, and, a lot of TCG players get excited, and that's why sometimes you see buyouts. So I think that kind of plays into the little anticipation for future sets, and then also a ban list kind of close by. So that can kind of contribute, at least in my opinion, to kind of Dedge format.
Yeah, definitely. I think Yu-Gi-Oh players.
Well, I think
looking
it's
for
more
that
for
exciting.
NA specifically though, right? Because for the national season in EU, you can see developments from event to event.
Do you think that?
Because
Do you think it's more of a lull because of upcoming events like Nats, or do you think?
Well, I think in here specifically, yeah, because we're done with our regional. We're done with our regionals, and then we don't have anything till
for
after.
our region, right? For our region,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But in EU, you can if you look at the I think what's crazy about Yu-Gi-Oh is that things change from like week to week, even without new set releases.
Hmm.
Right.
So
right.
for the French nationals, there was a shit ton of mouse, and people were like, there were a lot more Bishops too, I think.
Yeah,
People,
Memento is
because
winning
things
out
are
there
more
too.
popular. And then if you look at the most recent German one with a crap ton of Mitsurugi, if you look at the
Yeah.
Malice decks there, they're playing like all the Malice decks now are playing like 3 Shared Ride, 3 Metal Tronus,
Oh, I see that.
which
Yeah.
was not being played before. Yeah, so things just change even without,
That's wild. He's got a detonator in the side. That's actually sauce. That's crazy.
like yeah, Shared Ride's seeing a lot of play now because Mitsurugi is so popular.
Yeah. I mean, you can even make the case for if you have an extra deck spot, just having Ultimate Slayer in the side, right? Just for detonator. But
Not in Malice.
right, you're right. Not in Malice, but maybe I don't know. Maybe even a mirror. Does the mirror play it in the side? Doesn't look like it.
I don't see Metal
No, the
Tronus.
extra deck is super tight for Mitsu Reziel and Malice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you could play Mitsu.
You know what?
Reziel more.
You know what deck surprised
The
me out of
Malice
this?
extra deck is like impossible. It's
Yeah.
you have
It's
to make
pretty
some
tight.
concession no matter what.
What do you guys think about this top 32? Which you could guess which list is going to surprise me the most?
I'm gonna say Blue Eyes, man. Shout out to
Yeah.
Blue Eyes.
Yeah.
I love to see it. You know, it's
Wait,
such a fun deck to play.
That's not pure Odeon, is it?
This is, dude. I think this is pure Odeon. Yeah.
That is kind of insane.
This is what surprised me the most. This is top 16 at German Nats. Right?
That's a clean list.
Yeah, he's got 3 Fua, 3 Ash, 3 Droll, 2 Nib, 3 Imperm, 2 Purge. I like the 2 Purge. He's going with the full trap lineup. Main decking this is kind of ballsy.
I'm a fan of Super Polys.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. That non-response, quick little board clear, real quick. Especially since Konami's constantly feels like releasing new like Super Poly targets.
Yep.
I've always been a big fan.
Aren't some of the traps 4s?
What's that?
Aren't some of the traps 4s, the trap monsters?
Yes, the Apophis. These three.
Yeah, so it's one heavily because you can search it.
Yep. These 3 are 4s. You make Granite. You search this. Yep. Yeah, that's the combo.
Well, I don't think one's crazy.
It's one of this or this.
No, the Lord.
Oh Lord, yeah. Lord standard in that combo. Like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like, Ultimate Slayer in the side kind of just makes sense.
Yeah, but it's just not every deck can play it. Like.
Right. But something I'm curious about, he's not playing the Chorizo, which is a target with man.
What other Super Poly targets? So I'm guessing it's one spellcaster, right?
Yeah.
It's the one that takes 3 darks. Or 2 darks, and then
Chorizo. Oh, Chorizo's
no, I'm talking about the Starving Venom. He's running the Starving Venom.
Oh yeah. 2 dark monsters in the field.
No, the Chorizo, it's one spellcaster plus something else, right?
Plus an extra deck. Yep.
Deck monster. Oh, that's a nice board clear.
Yeah, it's essentially kind of like a Mirror Jade almost.
I'm not gonna lie though, when I'm looking at his lineup, like the Starving, the Garura, and the Mud, I mean that feels pretty sufficient. But like you said, I would have maybe tried to take advantage of that since it works with man, and man is searchable is like 9 mans, so or 10 technically with terraforming. It does sound like a good play, but nowadays in Yu-Gi-Oh, extra deck space is so tight.
Oh my god!
Sometimes you come down to cutting something that's needed.
I still like Super Poly. The Mitsu Reziel endboard is not even super polyable.
It's not? Yeah, no, it's not. It's what is it? A light? It's a light, a dark,
it's
with
light,
multiple
dark.
types. Yeah, with like an Omni in the back row too, and probably Nib in hand.
If they post ending, yeah. Well, the Omni is not relevant for Super Poly, obviously, but
I think this is fair, right? Like when we talk about like the current meta and kind of maybe going to a bigger event, this is fair to main deck, especially with a deck that struggles going second, and especially like he's main decking cards that maybe affect Mitsu Reziel a little more.
I still like breakers in general.
Yeah.
Like I think the only breaker that is good is like Droplet in the decks that benefit from the discarding, like Orchestra and Crystron. But otherwise, I think you just go all in a hand trap still.
Droplet's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan right now of Droplet, especially if your deck can make it work. I think Droplet right now is a phenomenal card.
I agree. Droplet's pretty cracked. But let's go to this Blue Eyes for you, Abdul. Here, this list. This
I looked
surprise
at this.
too.
This is this
Oh,
super
man.
stock standard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Literally stock
3,
standard
6,
Blue Eyes.
9,
There's
12,
nothing spicy or special.
18.
I gotta say though, I definitely love seeing the bells in there.
Yep.
Yep. Bestials really hurts a lot. I've heard some people trying to be spicy and play the cycle reader, and stuff like that. And then of course it also has application versus Fiendsmith, also has application versus Malice, and of course Mitsu Raizu as well.
Bell
You
covers
can
so much.
is it the ultra rare
It's
one?
Impulse
That's
at
the one
home.
that can special from the grave too, right?
It's impulse. It is impulse. Yeah. Mirakumo. If you save it for Mirakumo, it's pretty good.
Well, that's always gonna chain blocked
if they're good. Yeah, it's most times.
No, it's if they're summoning with its own effect from graveyard on your turn, it's almost always chain blocked.
I guess
because they tribute
if you do
it
the
for off
if you
the
do the
field, and then they
spell.
summon a different form from grave, and then they go chain link 1 Murakumo, chain link 2.
Yeah,
the one on field.
Yeah.
It's never you can never actually bell Murakumo.
I'm a fan of 2 Drill Beam. I can see why you would want to play 1. I'm a fan of 2, but looks pretty
like potential brick.
True.
Yeah, maybe cutting like a Veiler for another Drill Beam.
Nah,
maybe.
you want 2 Veiler is not crazy.
I mean, Veiler, it's good. It's searchable. I think at 2 is perfectly good because you can also use it as link material if you really.
You can literally search 2 Veiler in 1 turn.
Yeah.
Or you can use it as synchro material because it is a level 1 light tuner.
Dragon Spellcaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised by
I
the
still
amount of
think
times.
I don't. I don't think I lose to Blue Eyes cards. I always lose to Drill Beam.
That's the Neji special right there.
The Drill Beam.
Yeah, you don't. I feel like the Blue Eyes engine is still
Chaos Hunter. Oh, Chaos Hunter. Yeah. Chaos Hunter. That's the spice.
You believed in that card before a lot of people believed in it. I remember you got those QCRs so quick.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I ordered this shit when it was like $5. Yeah. Yeah, Chaos Hunters I think they're good, but like you have to have them in specific decks. I think the payoff has to be worth it for discarding a card and possibly going -2. Right?
I mean, can't they play through it Malice?
Through it. You have to open backup or AI meet you.
Yeah, if you open non-Malice cards, you can play through it, I think, right?
If you have to open AI meet you, backup, or Talent/Thust.
Yeah, Talents.
Talents is just too good.
Talents is fucking broken. I don't know. He's not playing Talents in here, which is kind of wild, but I guess no.
He's not playing Thrust.
No room. Yeah, no Thrust.
No called by either.
What this was interesting. I think I saw this on stream. This was another thing that was like, whoa.
Oh, this is very fun.
So I was messing around with this in Odeon, right? So the interesting theory here is you don't even need to play. This is a 5-card package for 2 free bodies, like really consistently, and you don't even need to play the Millennium Ankh, right?
This engine was really popularized in Master Duel.
Oh, was it?
Players, they still have OSS. That's the difference.
True. But it gives you like a free vampire. What is it? Forgot its name, but that rank 8 vampire.
Yeah, you play Christian or Snake Eyes or literally pretty much anything that wants that to make zombie vampire.
Zombie vamp, yeah. This is pretty spicy.
It's a little dumb.
Maybe I'm just a boomer, but anytime I see anything Exodia related, I'm always a big fan.
Oh yeah. You're like, hey, wait a minute. Oh, bros. Hey, Phantasma in here. Ugh.
I like Phantasma.
I like it more than I like it a lot more than Meow sometimes.
For
some decks, it depends. It depends on the deck you're playing.
I mean, I can't really see you citing it against anything other than Malice, or unless you're talking about depending on what deck you play.
Well, you're playing Phantasmic or Meows usually. It's like
right.
It's for Malice specifically.
What do decks throw in against Memento? Is if they don't have Meows?
Charmies.
Yeah, Charmies really hurt.
Does Fua kind of cover it, or just both?
They get hit by all 3.
Oh,
yeah, all 3 of them.
Especially Fiendsmith, Memento.
Really does?
Yeah, like draw and all the Charmies, Nibiru, all the high impact ones. Ash and Imperm are good too because you use Ash to horse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Nibiru, when they go sleepy to diffuse, sometimes is pretty funny.
Yeah,
Sleepy
I love doing
diffuse.
it right when they're trying to fuse, and then you just hit them
Yeah,
with the
and then just, that does, you just get
holy.
nothing. It's funny.
Yep, you get nothing. It's so deadly.
It fizzles.
But that's definitely one of those decks though, where if it goes uninterrupted, or if you don't have proper responses or don't time it correctly, that deck can blow you out, man.
The thing is,
Yeah.
realistically, the meta is Mitsurugi variants,
Yep.
Malice, and like the other the decks after that are like it's like Mermail, Memento.
I mean, Memento didn't it win a couple of events in the East?
Memento is just high skill.
It's yeah, it's like high pilot level players.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like that and Mermail are
Mermail.
like
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
pretty scary.
Mermails,
Yeah.
they're both big brain.
I was about
They
to
can both
say,
just roll you.
those decks way too big brain for me, man.
This is like no cap though. Like this is a deck I've been maybe not super play, but like this is a deck I've been considering going back to for Nats just because it's like it's an easier deck to play while still being sort of combo in a weird way.
I just feel like this deck is way too weak going second.
Oh, I agree. That's why I've been like, I keep veering away from it because it has so much problem going second. But the sauce I've been testing with, dude, is the Millennium Engine.
Yeah, but you might as well play like Christian Millennium at that point.
Well, maybe I don't know because like the theory is, I guess if you're going second, you just play Millennium, and if they stop your Millennium stuff, like the Ankh, if they impulse your Ankh, then it's okay.
You
Whatever.
know what? Test one the Millennium Engine.
What's up?
One detonator.
Does it?
Yeah, you have to play some continuous spells. And
Oh, I guess through the spell trap zones, yeah. But like, I guess it's you're just baiting interaction at that point, and like, okay, whatever, you lose. But
which I mean, is not necessarily a bad thing, right? I mean, you want to try to bait out those detonators. Unfortunately, we got cards like Eclipse Twins that can just reset it. But
Eclipse Twins, stupid.
I mean, not necessarily bad to try to bait out some of those interruptions.
Right.
As somebody that's like an Eldritch enjoyer, which is a deck I'm currently playing, I'm a big fan of decks that kind of bring you down to their pace or to your own pace. But like James was saying, kind of those kind of decks are usually very hard when you go second.
Yeah.
So I can see why bro was putting in the super polys because you're definitely gonna need some type of board breaker or something to handle if you go second.
Yeah, I mean you got Memento with super poly, which makes sense. You got kind of just basic lists here, right?
See, I'm fine with Memento doing that type of style because Memento engine is strong enough to actually push through.
They can push through a lot. This was kind of this was wild. Fiendsmith, Kashtira, Horus Tier, 60 card pile.
This is funny.
This is something else.
I'm sure we'll have that one person or two people that we know at locals that won't put Tier down. Tier is one of those like unfavorite decks. So people will do.
I mean, if you resolve grass, you just win, right?
Hey, I mean, Horus cards is broken with Tier Laments, and then you got the cool little Kashtira package there.
I think the best card of Tier right now is honestly Tier Cash.
Yeah,
I think Tier Cash.
That's been the best like starter slash.
Yeah, Tier Cash is crazy. Every time I see them use Tier Cash and I have to reread it, I'm like, oh my god, it's a quick effect. It's stupid.
And this deck looks like it has some nasty hands when it bricks.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like when it bricks bad. You just like set 2 pass, I think. But because it's all gas, right?
3 trap cards.
Yeah,
something else.
It's all gas except for like
placing did this deck get?
This got. Actually, I don't know. What did it say?
The Italian one is always so
That's the Italian
weird.
Those guys are literally the goats of GOAT.
Did I miss it on here? Wait.
Memento got first. Yeah.
There was like 4 of them on here.
Shout out to Memento.
Oh, here it is. It got 16th, top 16.
Hey, top 16. That's pretty nice achievement, man. Deck that's been out for like 2 years plus.
Yeah.
One of the funniest judge calls I still had was after Grass got unbanned. So I get a judge call. He's like, my opponent doesn't want to tell me his deck count. I was like, what? You have to tell me deck count. That's public knowledge.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I see what's happening. This guy's about to activate Grass.
I don't want to tell you anything. That's hilarious. Oh my god. Well, so this is kind of neat though. I mean, you're seeing these kind of rogue decks pop up a little bit.
Yeah, but those are like few and far between though, like realistically.
The majority is still this, right? Rise Element
Yeah,
2, Malice. I mean, it's not really these decks are kind of sprinkled in there, but
I think it goes to show though that if you're a good pilot of your deck, even a rogue deck or maybe like a tier 2, well maybe we'll say tier 2 instead of rogue, so more of like a tier 2 deck can be able to compete.
oh yeah,
You know, you just got to, you know,
I forgot about Christian.
Christian
Christian is actually pretty good too.
Yeah, like you're saying, Abdul. Christian's like that tier 2 deck, but easily can consistently get here in the top 4.
Oh yeah. And you know, Christian can get real scary on you real fast, man. I know they have like non-targeting effects, and then they got the horse cards to help dump their Sulfnir and all of that. So yeah, that deck can, you know, especially if you know what you're doing with that, you can really go pretty far. So don't necessarily have to play the top decks, you know, but you know, if you are going to be playing a tier 2, you know, deck or tier 1.5, like the Blue Eyes, I would consider probably tier 1.5, maybe tier 2.
Yeah, it's funny. This is technically a different format than our format.
Yeah.
UK.
They don't have they don't have battles.
Oh yeah, they don't have Battles of Legend, man.
Yeah.
It's Orcust for them in Dragon Maid.
Oh, that's another one actually I wanted to talk about.
It doesn't really matter, like realistically.
Yeah, I don't know if that counts for like current meta, but like Orcust is kind of an
that's for
interesting.
non-NA specifically. Is we still have it on schedule, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, we can have that for the NA WCQ discussion about Orcust. Or the Battles of
I kind of put a double in here, but
because I definitely feel like that would impact, because the set over there is getting released in August, right? Like late or mid-August.
In UK?
It's like late August, yeah. It's like 28th or something.
So definitely is going to be a different metagame, like James was saying here in you know, NA.
Yeah.
So that's going to be legal for us.
Right. Well, I don't really know realistic. It's like Mitsu Orcus is like the most real thing.
If only you had the statue.
All right.
Hey man, that's second place.
K9 Vanquish Soul.
Yeah, it's like K9. Vanquish Soul. Yeah, that's not.
Let's see.
Everyone's just waiting for K9 for that one.
What do you guys think actually? Because it will be at Nats, I'm assuming. But what do you guys think about Punk?
People will play it. Oh, Punk. It's a combo deck that's worse than the other combo decks.
Yes.
A lot of people are hyped though. I know that Yakaroji is
realistically, there's no reason to play that over like Whitewoods even.
Right. If you're playing competitively, you just play Whitewoods.
Oh, if you're playing competitively, you wouldn't be playing Whitewoods at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure too much about them, but I know that they got broken cards, man. Psychic End Punisher in that deck is crazy.
Yeah, it's always been crazy, right? You make Pep, you
just gets Wosued.
You just Wosued. You just sit on it. This was something I think I saw somebody was on. Do they have it on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck? If it's pure. I'm looking for one without K9 because this is going to be stuff that.
I played against this deck twice last night. They still lose to like Ash on Rise.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's not honestly until K9 comes out. It's really just still mid.
And then it turns out the Regeki on their turn is pretty good. So Murakumo.
That card's too good.
Yes, Murakumo is crazy, especially if they burn your normal summon.
Yeah, snaked.
Because that's the problem. They're very weak to non-targeting removal, and guess what? The top 2 decks have
non-targeting removal, except for Detonator. But Detonator could just
but Murakumo and like Mouse vanishes.
Annoying. Yeah.
Vanquish Soul Fiendsmith. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, this was the other idea. You just kind of like it turns it into more of a combo instead of a low to the ground mid range.
Have you tried this build?
I have messed with it. It just feels like honestly just feels like any other deck that you're throwing Fiendsmith into that needs to compensate for the normal summon.
I feel it.
Right? So it's like,
do you feel like it adds value to it?
No, I actually think it makes it worse. Because it makes
it so you lose to Fua.
Yeah, you lose the Fua harder, you lose the Droll harder, you lose to pretty much everything harder.
Yeah.
I still like the Fiendsmith engine a lot. I don't think it actually needs to get hit at all.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the only thing that I want hit at all is Caesar, actually.
I could see that, or maybe hit Moon. I could see them maybe.
Nah, I don't even think Moon needs to get hit. Like, I think the Fiendsmith engine is really cool, and it's
Fiendsmith. I think Feedsmith is totally fine where it's at, and the entire engine is totally fine where it's at, in my opinion. Like, I don't even think
it's not like super broken.
Yeah, and like if you get rid of Caesar, then Nib
It has
becomes
plenty of counterplay.
Yeah. And
I'll
it's
be
like,
honest. Go ahead, Neji.
oh no, I was just gonna say, like you make Caesar, but you're not getting to Caesar anyways if they have Nib, right?
True. Yeah,
Or
usually
Imperm,
they're going to be
or
before.
Ash, or literally anything.
Right. So it's like one hand trap. Sure, they're getting the grind game still, but it's like, okay, they're not getting the Caesar that turn.
I gotta say, man, one thing, or at least this is kind of like my theory on TCG, or Yu-Gi-Oh TCG, is I don't feel like Konami and the TCG cares too much about engines as long as they're not too broken. Like like Ryziel, for example, because if you look at, I mean, I'm gonna go back a little bit far, not like too far, but
I'll name you 3 engines right now.
With like the adventure engine, you guys remember when people were complaining about the adventure engine, and it's so broken, and then Kashtira, next after that, and they maintain that, and then Horus also is an engine too that you see a lot. So I feel like Konami won't hit the Fiendsmith. Maybe if they do, they might maybe semi-limit engraver. I feel like they would probably do maybe also semi-limit or maybe limit tracked. I feel like that's the extent what they would do. Just kind of. Konami and the TCG really likes to hit consistency, so
no, that's the other way around.
Didn't Schmidt?
Oh yeah,
Schmidt
right.
talked about that. Yeah, it was Konami and the TCG likes to hit specific cards, whereas
which I prefer. I'd rather have them just outright ban OSS than hit like 20 Snake Eyes related cards.
Yeah.
Put
everything at one.
Really obnoxious.
I mean, this is. I mean, I know it's not Maxi, but like this is.
What is this? Oh, it's an OCG list.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is like essentially any WCQ last year, right? Or except for Maxi and the call buys, but this is like pretty much what that format was.
Yeah, looks very.
What does everyone think about Charmies in general?
So I kind of have a love-hate relationship with them. I think I definitely see the necessity of having Charmies. I like it when I'm throwing them at my opponent. I don't necessarily like it when it's being thrown at me.
I don't like that because you still played the freaking mini game where it's like, oh, did they have Ash though?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so indifferent. I'm usually like in the middle. Sometimes I'm like, I really like the Charmies, and then sometimes I'm like, this is really too much.
I'm currently on the fence, but leaning towards the side of they're a little too good because, like post Justice Hunters, these are Pirelli is going to be replacing Fua, I imagine, as like the main deck staple, but they're just so good, and if you play more than 3, you're at an advantage, which maybe that's what Konami wants, but you're at a clear advantage over someone that's just making the 3 ashes to out the Charmies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think.
Well, no, the trade off is you have 6 non-real cards going first.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Unless you're passing on like Requiem Pass or something, but yeah.
Very true.
Which is, I guess, also too, if you're playing 6 non-real cards going first, you're also making you have to have your deck have the 1-card starters, right? Because then
no, the decks that can main deck 6 Charmies have really strong engines going first, regardless. Like, if I play Mouse, it doesn't matter if I draw 3 engine cards and 2 Fua going first. I'm still winning. Like,
right.
Or same thing with Mitsurazio. If I open two Charmies, X Habakiri, I'm still winning. Like.
One thing that, at least again, my theory when it comes to Konami is, maybe that was like their kind of way to like kind of slow down things a little bit, especially with how power creep is so prevalent. And every year the power creep just gets more and more and more and more. So maybe they're like, this is kind of like a necessary evil, kind of like how I guess maybe when Maxi was around and people were debating and it was at 1 for a little while. So, it's definitely a love-hate relationship. I think a lot of players feel like that. And, similar to what James said, I'm kind of on the fence on them.
I just prefer I always prefer actual hand traps, like ideally in a format. Like, I think it's better if I can run Valor, Imperm, etc. than be forced to main deck 6 Charmies.
I agree. I'm with Abdul on them like power creeping and protecting, like, kind of like how Droll, I feel like, is never going to go away. It's kind of a necessary evil.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it sucks, we kind of are in a Droll format, but it is also weird because we're in a Droll Mulch Army format. So it's like we're the decks. The way you have to build your deck is a deck that doesn't give your opponent a crap load of draws if you do get Fluid or Pirellia, but also a deck that can still make enough interruptions through Droll, which is
Yep.
extremely difficult if you're not Raziel or Mitsu, I feel like. Like, I know Malice can play through a lot, and it can still end on a good amount of interruptions, etc., right? But, like, I feel like if Malice does get hit with Pirellia Fua, they're kind of playing the Mulch Army challenge, right?
Well, there's Malice, depending on the matchup, Malice will just full combo through Charmies.
Right.
I think when it comes to the Charmies, having 9 Mulch Charmies is just kind of crazy work.
There are some matchups where I decided all 9.
But like I think maybe if Konami created one of them and we stopped, maybe like Perulia, or maybe I think Fuelos is a very good balanced card.
No, I mean it's more of a symptom of these decks being ridiculous going first, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to play 9 Charmies, but if I don't open it's either open 2 Charmies or 4 hand traps against Memento. Or White Woods.
Yeah, it for sure feels like if you don't open 2 of these, like what this guy has in this list, if you don't open any combination of these 2, you're kind of SOL. Like going second, you should just scoop.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, kind of like bridging into July here in Nats, what do you guys think? What are your predictions to be maybe a surprise and not a surprise? I think we can all guess what's not going to be a surprise, but maybe like a deck that you could see maybe getting, top 32, kind of sneaking in.
That's not already a known quantity, like Memento or Rimrail or
Yeah, my pick is Orcus Mitsu. I could see that deck sneaking in.
That's people have been testing that already. That's a real deck. Because the Orcus cards help you play through Droll, and then the Mitsu cards help you play through Lancia.
Right.
That's a real deck, I think.
Yeah, I was.
Who knows? Who knows?
Variation of Orcus.
Also, that can play Impulse. So
yeah, that I know. I noticed that. I was like, this is all darks. This is stupid.
Hey, we all know Impulse is a phenomenal card. So if that,
I want more cards like that. I want more. I like hand traps. I want more hand traps.
Hey, I do think that the Dominus cards are pretty well designed. I have to say that I think the amount of restrictions that they have on them makes them kind of balanced. Sometimes Impulse
probably
feels
should have been
imbalanced. You think so?
I think because the Impulse got the better effect with lesser restrictions. Like, what the fuck?
I think that Impulse needs to be put to like 1 or 2. I think it needs to be semi or limited.
I don't know, man.
Nah.
I mean, I couldn't imagine, because then Purge would have became a staple in majority of decks, because now you can run 6 Ashes. So I think that there's some good balancing aspect. Again, sometimes Impulse feels a little unfair, but
right.
I generally feel, especially with Song of the Dominators too, I really like that card. The restriction on it is a little crazy, but the fact that you can search another Dominus is pretty crazy too.
Yeah, Dominators
a little too niche though.
Dominators has got some potential. I don't feel like anybody's cracked it quite yet. Like,
it just requires a very specific deck. And the problem with the Dominator card, isn't it restrict you from using other hand traps basically for that turn?
Yeah, monster.
So it doesn't make sense. When you play these type of cards, you want to play them like with other hand traps. But then you can't play them with other hand traps
unless you're playing Paleozoic.
I know that in the OCG, Yummy is one of the decks that plays it. I know they side into it, so that way you can set it, and then of course they're playing Thrust too. But so you set it, you negate the monster effect, and then ideally you have a trap engraved by then, and you get to search your
that
Purge.
Makes sense. If you're siding
so the things I do prefer cards like Purge and Impulse over Charmies though.
I agree because the restrictions on them make them feel more balanced than the Mulch Charmies. Even though the Mulch Charmies have their own.
All right, also, Charmies being a 4 is like stupid in the context of Raziel.
I'm telling you, 9 Mulch Charmies is crazy.
Yeah.
No, I just like they could have been level 3, and that could like it would have been way less worse. Way worse than Brazil.
So do you guys think what would surprise you or not surprise you? Or I guess what would surprise you at Nats, but kind of maybe a bold pick to see?
I feel like Luna Light might catch people off
Yeah.
guard, maybe.
Yeah.
Honestly, if Punk did something, I think I would be a little surprised.
Nah, probably this is every hand trap being played right now, like non-injured being played, doesn't it?
Yeah, kinda. I've seen it. It's done well at locals so far, but obviously we haven't seen it in any of the
Yeah, but
Nats.
I can like.
Of course, maybe bias from playing it, but I would love to see Prime My Blue Eyes
Oh
get in
yeah,
there. Some,
it's yeah.
she'll be the of a card.
Yeah. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
Private Blue Eyes could probably sneak in one.
Yeah, like our Nats, I could see Primate Blue Eyes like maybe a couple
This is a
being right here.
terrible Malice matchup. Is the issue?
Yeah, I could see it being top 32. Like there could be a couple.
God, it just feels so bad when you're drawing like a Blue Eyes and then a trap, and it's just like, oh man, sometimes it feels so bad. But
Every time you go Link 1, no effect. I'm like, haha.
Yeah.
This card scares me, dude.
Which one? What is that?
Liger Dancer, bro.
Oh yeah, this card is crazy, man.
I fear no man, but that thing.
That thing is crazy. Yeah, the Luna Light cards, man, are really crazy, and a lot of them have burn effect.
Crypto beats that.
Bro, I still have PTSD from Tiger Effect, Bounce, Tiger Effect. And that was before the pandemic, so I have PTSD from Luna Light, from their crazy shenanigans, their Azathoth plays that they used to do back in the day. So I wouldn't be surprised. I know they're getting new support and everything like that. So
this deck
as a fan of Rogue decks, I would love to see that deck top at Nats.
Oh my god, they run Impulse. Oh, it's screwed. It's over.
That's it, man. I'm not gonna lie. That's for me in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel like if your deck runs Impulse, you have a really big advantage over a lot of other decks.
Yo, this is hype. They're on the heavy poly. Oh, you guys know?
I heard about that.
You guys know what this card does?
I don't know what it does, but I know it's getting bought out.
All right, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using 3 or more monsters from your hand or field as material. You can also banish monsters from your extra deck as material up to the number of monsters your opponent controls, but you lose life points equal to the total attack of monsters.
It's going second card.
Yep. So Cyber Dragon played it.
Yeah, it lets you slap down whatever fusion you want right away.
Yeah, so I think you fusion like perfume, like 2 perfumes, I think. Which is 7. You use like 7k life points if you fuse these 3 just from extra deck to bring out Luna Light. Or no, I'm sorry, this is actually 4. Can you do it with?
Was it up to the number of things they have, or monsters they control, or cards they have, or what is it?
You need Leo. Oh, you need to so it's up to the number of cards you control, but I think 3 or more monsters.
Okay,
but this requires Leo Dancer plus 3, so I don't think you could bring out Liger. But like worst case, you just bring Perfume Dancer out. That's kind of funny.
Do they have a quick play fusion or no?
They have Poly. What is this? Lunalight Fusion? No, this is a regular.
I was gonna say no Guardian Chimera. I just love Guardian Chimera. Maybe that's from my Chimera.
Yeah, same. Guardian Chimera goat.
Too good.
Yeah, this card, I can see why, shout out to Matt. I can see why Matt wanted to play this, though, because it does play Impulse. Astral plays very strong. It's got some good combo.
I know feel bad Gem Knights before playing this.
Yeah. Oh, Gem Knight. Dude, how are we not talking about Gem Knight?
It's all right.
I feel like we should be talking about Gem Knight right now. Could we see some surprise Gem Knights?
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
If it's in Bauer's hands, I think it could. Bauer's such a good player when it comes to Gem Knights. He cooked me last weekend with Gem Knights.
No, Bauer's trash at Gem Knights.
Yeah, on the other hand, he lost the tier events on Saturday. So
bro, that Gem Knight Fusion, man, is just like so free for them to banishment from the graveyard and then just add it back. Either use it as discard fodder or use it for fusion material or to fuse. I mean,
yeah,
that part is so broken.
The deck's not bad, but it's definitely got issues though.
I mean, hey, we got
doesn't
one.
it just die to like Droll or Fua?
It loses to Droll and Fua. It's
Yeah.
kind of annoying.
Yeah, but a lot of decks lose to both of those cards.
Fair.
Hard times. So
Yeah, but the good ones can get around with it.
Why am I not finding a Gem Knight deck list?
they're relatively new, right? Didn't they just come out this set, right? And
We came out
probably
with
not
battles, yeah.
you probably won't find anything in you either.
I guess nobody's been on the sauce as long as Matt. Here we go.
Nope.
Fiendsmith Gem. Here we go. Here's a list. Maybe OCG kind of.
This is a primate.
Think.
Is this
Yeah, it is
primate? Oh, but it's primate Fiendsmith?
Just plain roar? Yeah, they're just plain roar.
Yeah, because Engraver's at 1 in this.
Special.
That makes sense.
Wow. Interesting. I experienced that card firsthand last weekend.
Well, moving on from NAWCQ possible decks that we may or may not see rogue-wise, but as far I want to talk about mentality going into like locals versus like larger events, because lately between Seattle and Salem, which I took 2 rogue decks too. One was Chimera Fiendsmith, and the other one was Regenesis Cash.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed there was a significant difference in my performance in both those. And I really do think it was due to mentality. The Seattle one, my mentality was I need to finish X2 or better, or else I'm dropping. And that's how I went into it. And I made it to round 4 when I got sacked by Ancient Gear and a Malice breaking through my whole board through like 7 interruptions. So I think the mentality played a part because I was kind of focused on, okay, hey, I'm at 1 loss and now I'm at 2 losses. I can't lose right after this. And I was worried about everything but the duel or the next duel. Versus Salem. Yeah, versus Salem. Salem, I was just like, you know what, whatever, man. Like I'm taking a deck. This is fun. Like I like these cards are cool, they're new, I'm trying them out. Like whatever. Like I know the deck inside and out, so I'm gonna play it 1 game at a time. And undefeated through how many rounds was it? 8? I think I was undefeated through 6 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And you were X2 into a total? That's crazy.
Sorry, I was undefeated through 5 rounds because I ended up X3, but it was really it was supposed to be X2-1, but and I got 29th at Salem. Even after that, because I gave him the win, because I was frustrated. It was a time thing, bro. Like took me to time, and I should have won. We had a time extension. It was a whole thing, but point being, at Salem, I was like, I was in the zone. I just like played everything perfectly. Like I had, I made very, very few misplays, and it was, I think, mainly because I was just going into a little bit of a larger event. Just focus on the game. Now that being said, regionals is different than locals, and Nats is different than regionals. So going to locals recently, I've been like, okay, I guess rule number 1 would be know who's going to your locals and know what decks they take, right? So if you know your locals is competitive, don't be taking some jank stuff and expecting to win if you know who's going to be there, because I mean, unless you're taking jank that's specifically targeted towards the meta, and for sure like it's going to do well. Like I don't know, for example, I guess Dinomorphia. If you're a fast player, but people are only bringing decks that can't out Rexstrom, right? Like okay, then it makes sense. But other than that, like just kind of know who your crowd is. And the second thing is like know what cards you're putting in your deck. If your locals are not super competitive or meta playing, then there's no reason to main deck a bunch of like Charmies or even in the expensive cards, right? Like if you're playing a casual locals, just throw in some, like Ash Imperm Nib, right? Like that's good enough for an average locals. You don't need to do anything too special.
Yeah, it depends on where you're going to. You're right. It's so funny. No, it's so funny. Like Droll will be like, there'll be some formats where like Droll's like a side deck card, but if you get a Chronos, it's like, yeah, you can main deck it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, what do you guys think? That's my kind of mentality, at least into the locals, is like just know your audience, and then know the cards you're putting in your deck based on the audience.
I was gonna say specifically for Salem, that's honestly I think you can think of that more as super locals.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It really is the same faces every time. Like,
There's a lot of rogue also at Salem too, and like tier 2 decks.
yeah, but once you get past round 4, you're probably fine.
True.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Most time past round 3 is.
My only experience is playing the Vegas YCS, but I think it's worth making the concession of not respecting Rogue and then deck building for the top decks. And that only makes sense, right? Like,
hmm
Um.
yeah. I mean, especially if you're trying to get results, you ideally want to side for the bigger threats, and usually the bigger threats are going to be the more meta tier 1, esque decks. So I definitely feel like, especially if you know that you have a competitive locals, yeah, you definitely want to, make your deck built for those decks, since that's the higher likelihood, especially again if you're going to a competitive locals. Um, Deciding and having cards in your main deck for those decks, as opposed to the more roguish decks, is definitely the more correct call. So I definitely agree with James on that.
well, it depends, right? Locals, it depends which locals too. It's just,
Yeah, it's no, specifically if you know your locals is competitive. I definitely agree with that sentiment. I think, just to kind of speak generally about mentality going into locals, I think, like you said, especially in your experience, Neji, when it came down to both different experiences at Seattle and Salem, and how just a mentality change can really change your outcome and trajectory of the results that you can expect, right?
Yeah.
Get a little deep here. When it comes to anything in life, your mentality and how you go about things, and how you approach and take feedback, or in real time make adjustments. If you have a more positive outlook, you're going to have more favorable results, more favorable time, as opposed to if you're looking at things more negatively or more critically, you're going to tend to be a little nitpicky and find more of the bad as opposed to more of the good. So having a more positive mentality, especially when you're going to locals, I mean, a lot of those people, like you guys said, a lot of people you already know going into locals. So ideally these are people that you have good experiences with, you enjoy, you learn from them, vice versa. So having a positive mentality is very big. I also think that deck building is very important, especially if you're somebody that's competitive, or somebody like me and Neji and even James, prefer more roguish decks, or like to play the rogue tier 2 decks.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to kind of adapt your deck. There's times where from week to week to week my deck is changing, and it might not be a bunch of cards. Maybe it's 2 cards, 3 cards, 1 card, no cards. Maybe more in the side deck, maybe more in the extra deck. And I think being adaptable, and being aware of what current trends are, what current decks are popular, and being able to critically look at your deck, and say, okay, well, this card didn't work here, or maybe I could play this card that might be more impactful. I think that will give you better results.
Oh,
So
100%.
well, the funny thing is, it's actually easier to play rogue decks into narrow formats.
Yeah.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
said narrow?
it's way easier because you can just target all your hate towards that, like the top decks
Yeah.
or the
hmm
top deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like during like your Snake Eyes format, it was so easy for me to like get wins with flu or something, just because you just play all the outs to
Yeah,
Snake Eyes.
you know what to play. Yeah, James, yeah, and dual like amazing points, right? I James, last locals at CBD, I took Mitsu Fiendsmith, right? And I was testing that out. I noticed how much harder it was. And like granted, like Mitsu Fiendsmith, I'm like maybe a week or so into actually testing and getting used to the deck, but it like coming from a rogue perspective and always playing rogue decks, playing a meta deck and trying to play against a semi rogue deck, like I guess Orcus for the first time, but not really that much that rogue. But playing against that deck and trying to find out the interaction points was so much tougher because it's kind of like it felt almost as if you were playing a brand new meta after a ban list. Is what it
I
was.
mean, I vaguely knew what that deck did already. I
Yeah,
feel like once you play the game enough, you kind of can tell what card is like does what.
right, right.
Like, oh, this sounds important. I think I'll ash this.
Well, it was like one of those things where the trap card that they search is a counter trap.
Well, they didn't even search it.
Wait, what's that?
They don't really even search it. They like dump it to grave or something like that.
Chris did. I don't even know what he did. How he got it.
You
I think
can
he
search it, but they like set it directly. They either set it directly or they send it to grave and then use the grave effect like a search or a summon. I forget.
Yeah, but I didn't even know that was a counter trap. Right? It was just like, oh, I was playing Mitsu. I assumed I could respond and just like dodge destruction, but it was a counter trap. I was like, oh, okay. Well,
stopped in your tracks.
Got to read my cards. Got to read your cards.
Draw it then? What the heck? You just didn't see that it was a counter trap? What?
Yu-Gi-Oh players never beating the allegations.
Bro, I read the effect. I did not read the symbol.
Okay, I see. If anything, I was surprised the Mitsu counter trap. The Mitsu Omni Negate is not a counter trap.
It's not. Yeah,
that is baffling to me.
Which is like it's wild because you can thrust that.
Yeah, that's very baffling because they're almost all that type of trap is almost always a counter trap. Like Mana Dome reframing, Tirlement's Crime, like whatever.
Like an in-engine Omni. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell?
Shout out to Thrust.
Bro, Thrust.
Yeah, you get Thrust for it's pretty funny. I mean, you're not thrusting the you're thrusting for Feather Storm at that point.
I was gonna say high key. Thrust is probably one of the best side deck cards.
Summon Castel, thrust into the heavy. Oh man.
Oh baby.
Good, man. Holy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You played. Yeah. It's been a while since you played a top tier deck.
Yeah. Last YCS I played Tenpai.
Last time, yeah. Because when I started playing like Ryzeal again for Suda format, it's really annoying having everyone side 10 billion cards.
Yeah. Wait, Abdul, what'd you ask?
I forgot.
oh yeah. No, I played Tenpai and James. Like the amount of times I saw D barrier was crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, now I remember. Did you play Tenpai Dragon Rulers?
No. Last year it was just because like Chunder was still at 3, right?
No, I think he's talking about current form, like last format when the Alan came out with the D ruler support.
No, I'm talking NAWCQ like Nats.
No, but Abdul's asking about the Dragon Ruler Tenpai.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Ramon's been on that.
You were talking about
recently.
playing that deck last year, then, right? The Tenpai deck. Is that when you were playing it? Was last year?
That's when I was playing it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I chose that because I was like, okay, it was either ice. I think it was either ice barrier or that is what I was in between, and I did make it to round 8. I think. Like I lost round 8 in a mirror match, and he definitely played Tenpai better than me, and my only losses, ironically, were against other Tenpai players. I beat everything else. Like ridiculously easy, but yeah, there was definitely a grind game finesse with Tenpai. As I'm sure you and I remember, Abdul and James, like we played Tenpai against each other numerous times, and
definitely.
There's some weird game states sometimes, but I don't know. A lot of times the game does end on the next turn.
Definitely.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I have Fadra on board, and you have, I don't know, Chandra on board, and we're just sitting there like, okay.
Well, I also played the Link package to OTK.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah,
that was spicy.
Link package was spice.
There's a Link to OTK is pretty funny. Oh, Doolittle is pretty cracked too.
Doolittle.
You can also OTK with Doolittle.
Yeah, the Doolittle OTK was so nice. Love to see it.
Brandon, I tell you what, if Brandon's watching, shout out to Brandon. Dude had some spice with Tenpai when he was playing it. Like I'm saying, he had some wild Link packages. He used Samurai Destroyer's like Reborn effect for the first time against me. Right? When it gets sent.
Just summon itself back.
Yeah. I ran over, I forgot I did. I ran over it with because it activates in damage step still, because it's when it's popped by battle, I think. Or just whenever it's sent. And I ran over it with what is he at? 27, I think.
I don't think it triggers for running over.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember how he triggered it, but he triggered it to like Reborn from Grave, and I was shook. I was like, oh my god. you can explore some things with Tenpai here.
No, but anyway, that's last year. Or not last year. Is it last year? I forget. It was a while ago.
That was last year.
And the new Tenpai Dragon Ruler deck is just, it's not even like it's literally Christian Turbo.
Yep.
Or your Floodgate of Choice Turbo.
Yeah. I was interested in playing that deck, but then when I heard it was just Crissia turn
Yeah,
one,
it's literally just make it rank 7, dump whatever you want with Redux, and in fact, then reborn whatever. Sorry, other way around. You dump whatever you want with title, and then you reborn it with Redux.
Nah.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy work.
But as far as moving on, going into Nats this year. I know, like regional sometimes can be, like you said, James, glorified locals, but Nats is a whole other animal. You get guys probably still even through 4 rounds that you're going to run into those rogue decks, but then past that, it's going to be pure meta, right? Like you're gonna play the top probably 4 decks pretty consistently.
Well, that's what you want because
Yep.
it just makes deck building easier.
Yep. So, heading into that, I mean, I've noticed, because my mentality's been weird, I guess, right? So, the last 2 Nats, I've only played in 2 Nats so far, and the last 2, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that you have to really think about plays, but quickly later in the rounds, because the skill level gets that much higher, and even one small mistake, the guy you're playing against could be like thinking already 5 moves ahead of you, and that one mistake, putting shuffling an engraver back when you should have shuffled a requiem or whatever, right? Like,
Well,
just
just practice.
Yeah, exactly. So I think maybe not so much mentality with NAWCQ, as long as you kind of know, like you're just taking one game at a time, but more so like knowing every deck that you're possibly going to face and just kind of preparing, right? I think a lot of Nats is preparation.
Definitely. I still think that even at an NAWCQ, your mentality is still important in regards to like being positive, not letting things kind of overwhelm you. Especially if you lose game 1, for example, round 1, you take that L. You don't want to get caught up in, oh my God, I took a L. Now I got to watch out.
Yeah.
You don't want to get into that circle or into that loop, because then now you're going into it stressed. You're not really into your game. You're going to shuffle that engraver instead of the requiem, because you're, maybe powering through it, or, not thinking correctly. So I still think that mentality is important, but also, like you said, making sure that you know what your matchups are, what decks to expect, maybe, one thing that I like about YGO is sometimes he'll have, videos where like, X deck and this is their end boards, so knowing what your opponent could potentially end on is also going to be important. That way, when, you have your deck building, if you happen to go second, you kind of know what to do, or at least you have sides for those game 2s and 3s. So knowing your matchup is also going to be something I think is very important.
100%. 100%. Yeah, and I think also it doesn't help that they make certain cards legal for Nats. They dropped new sets before, but understanding all the decks and boards probably a little easier than trying to memorize interactions.
It rewards the people who prepare.
Yeah,
which I think is fine.
Which Abdul also I wanted to mention about your point with the not giving up if you lose round 1. Again, shout out to Matty Bauer. Bro went, what was it, reverse 11-0 or something after he lost, I think, the first round.
He lost games in between.
Was it first 2 rounds, James? I don't remember.
Talking about that last year? Last year he went he was down 2 and then he just went out.
Yeah, down 2. Yeah. He first 2 rounds down to Runic, and then he just wins out the next.
That happens. Each match is its own match. You just win that match.
Exactly.
And he got the top 8, right?
No.
No. He got knocked out by the YouTuber dude.
I think it was top.
Was that the top 8 or top 16? Right? He got one of those 2.
Yeah.
He made it pretty deep. So it goes to show you that, don't quit. Just, you got to keep your head into the game. And don't always over stress yourself, and again, just try to be positive even when you just took an L.
Yeah, and it's tough to do. You know, it's so easy to be
I
like,
think people overthink it. Like you just
yeah,
play the best you can with the cards you have. Like you just you just play the cards. It doesn't matter
yep,
who you're playing against necessarily. It's just
yep, yep.
You know,
It
I
well,
think
no,
doesn't.
one
it
thing.
does because I do like play to the level of my opponent sometimes, like for
Yeah.
locals at least.
Uh, like, and I'm not trying to be like condescending here, but at CBD last week, there was a new player, right? I don't remember his name. I think you saw him too, James. He was on like pure cash, right? Playing like anti spell and D Fisher, right?
Holy,
Oh
Uh,
yeah, he's just a returning player, I think. Or not
yeah.
player.
So
what was
like,
on time?
yeah, he was in team time. I swear, I think Brandon and James walked by both and were like, ooh, they saw like Fisher and anti spell up. I was like, yeah, no, but like, it's it's playing against not even I guess guys that are a lower skill level, maybe just like new to the game and don't play decks that are relevant to the format and just kind of throw you off, right? Like that's another thing. Maybe round one you're playing against some like Matt played against some I don't know I forgot what deck he, it was like 60 card pile deck, so it was like the worst possible matchup for Runic, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes you just run into that and life give you lemons situation, right? Like
Hmm.
roll with the punches. You gotta figure it out in the situation. And that's another beauty part of Yu-Gi-Oh is you never know what you're gonna get, and you can only prepare so much. But that is also the fun part. Is like, oh hey, this new unique situation was thrown at me. How am I gonna handle it? How am I gonna win?
And you know, I think the main thing that separates, the top players versus your average and, mid-tier player is that a lot of those top tier players, a lot of them from what I hear don't even go to locals most of the time. They do a lot of their grinding on DB, so if it,
Yep.
practicing and practicing your deck, especially on DB, you're most likely going to, especially coming up to like NAWCQ, you're going to see a lot of those type of decks that you can expect at those big regionals or excuse me big events like the NAWCQ. So getting your testing in there as much as you can whenever you can is going to be that extra layer that's going to separate you from others that either don't have the time, not willing to put in the time, so getting in your practice is very important, especially if your locals is more casual or there's more rogue decks, and you want to kind of prep up, especially if you're taking the game more seriously,
Yep.
it's going to be very important that you're doing that. I would also, sprinkle in, maybe watching some DB grinder videos, you know,
Yep. Yep.
those videos have always been very helpful for me, especially when I'm getting ready to go to an event or want to just kind of take the game a little more seriously, just to know and see different gameplays and commentary and things like that. So
Bro,
those can be.
I love watching DB Grinder videos, and it's mainly because when I see a deck that I'm considering to play, and
Hmm.
I like it a lot because that is when I find the time to do like my Yu-Gi-Oh testing. Right? Is I got we all got lives, right? Like wives, girlfriends, right? Fiancés, family, all that, and
Children.
yeah, children, yeah, and some of us just don't have the time to like just spend hours every day to test. So showing replays like that, I hope he continues it, right? Because it's pretty invaluable for everyone that wants
Hmm.
to maintain their knowledge on the meta, but not necessarily commit, you know, hours to practicing it.
Another thing, that again kind of separates the pros from like the average and mid is a lot of these people have really good testing groups,
Yep.
so maybe getting yourself involved in one of those testing groups or maybe among your peers, getting a testing group, especially if X person has this deck and this other person has another deck and these are all top decks, so getting a playtesting group together can also be something very beneficial. We are human beings. We like the social aspect, and I'm sure that everybody that plays Yu-Gi-Oh enjoys it for that social aspect. So, maybe taking advantage of something like that, getting something started, or maybe joining something.
That's very true. That's very true. Yeah. For those of you watching and you don't have a playtesting group, get one, especially if you're considering going to a bigger event. extremely helpful. Say, hey, dude, what are you doing? Come on over. Let's test for an hour or so. Helps. Like, Brandon,
I just
Jesse,
watch.
Jesus, yeah, or just watch. Like,
It's,
I got a couple guys that live near me. Even Braden, I guess. Braden's kind of close by.
Yeah.
I don't know where you live, Abdul, if you're close by me in Vancouver or not. But
By total.
okay. So you're not too far away, I guess
Not
then.
too far.
Yeah. So
Well,
I might shoot you an invite here soon because
maybe.
they're
Maybe.
yeah they're like 15 minutes away, 10 minutes away in downtown Vancouver. So yeah, it's just having a good playtesting group that you can hit up, and especially if they're playing like meta relevant decks, then that's really good practice because you'll memorize interactions. You'll know, hey, this Ash Blossom and Joy Spring I have in my hand. This ain't gonna cut it. I'm better off scooping and saving 5 minutes of comboing, right?
Not only that, but sometimes your peers can be able to catch things that maybe you're, for example, maybe doing
Yeah.
an illegal play, or maybe you're not playing optimally, So your playtesting group sometimes can point that out to you and say, hey, okay, why didn't you do that instead of this? Or maybe you could have done this and that. I know we do that a lot at locals, after games are done and everything like that, but that's something that can be very valuable when you're testing with your group, and one of the
Yeah.
benefits of having or joining a testing group, because sometimes we don't see plays, or maybe, there's people that have a lot of time to be able to, test and come up with theories and combos and stuff like that. So, you might not be aware of a certain, move or a certain play that could be a game changer for you, so
Yep.
having that as an additional benefit for the testing group.
Yeah.
or it's good to have another observer. You want a third party, a third person, basically.
Definitely.
Yeah,
At least.
maybe not even like a third person to observe and interject, but at least someone who's like impartial and seeing how things interact and go down, right? Like,
Hmm.
hey, like, okay, this chain's done resolving. Why did you use that as chain link 2? Why did you use this first in your sequence instead of trying to bait something out, right?
Hmm.
Just questions that are good, as like James said.
I will say this: you're not supposed to play playtesting like real matches. I see this a lot. Stop. It's not. You're not supposed to play a real match when you're playtesting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
you're supposed to talk things through and like try to make sure both players are making the best possible plays, etc.
Yeah. Like you can take back your play when you're
Yeah,
playing.
take back plays. If you try something out, like, hey, I normally wouldn't do this, but I want to see if I can limit test this.
Yeah. I
And then
do that
walk
a
it back if
lot.
it doesn't work out. Like, it's
So
fine.
let
Like,
me ask you this. So is it better to go through like a playtesting match, and if you're the one who's like trying to point them in the right direction, is it better to just ask and be like, "Hey,
I no, like I'll just like we'll just talk aloud. That's how I do it usually.
yeah, but then does the person remember though as well? If
What do you mean?
like if you're telling them, "Hey, do this play, like this is better." Like,
Like, I even do that with like with like John, like in an actual match sometimes at locals when we're just playing. Like, it's just
I mean,
right.
ideally, if you're getting that critique, you're practicing it, right? So you're going through that combo. Maybe, after that game, you're doing another game again and you're, practicing that combo. So, that would be a way that I would assume, people can, memorize those plays. I know that some players, sometimes even I do this, we play with our hands showing. So
Oh,
that
interesting.
way, you know your playtesting partner can look at the hand that you have, and kind of guide you, see, hey, whoa, that was a weird play, do that again. Like James said, playtesting is not supposed to be serious. You're not at a locals or regionals or anything like that. Lighten up a little bit, take back plays, educate your playtesting partner, hey, you could have done this differently, or why'd you do that? Take that back. Do this. It's
well, it
it's
depends on what
meant to
you're
help you
playtesting
grow.
for. Because some newer players aren't as like careful with how they do things at a regionals if they're not used to playing at a higher tier event.
Yeah. Right.
Like, there's a
A lot.
lot. Like, you're not supposed to show what card you search before you like but a lot of people do that. Like, it's
When
What do you
and
when
no
I
one's really like no one really cares at locals, but if you go to Nats and you accidentally like put down the card you might have searched, they'll
Oh.
make you commit to it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like,
Oh, I did that in 2018 when I came back. When I searched for a card, my opponent was like, "What did you search?" I was like, that's none of your business." They're like, "No, you have to show." So yeah, you're right. Sometimes you might not be aware of a
No,
certain.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how like how if you like
If you reveal
you're
a
searching for
card,
something and you're thinking in your head like, oh, I'm searching X or Y, and so you put down X on the table while you're looking for Y.
yeah.
If you do that, you are committed. And your opponent can see X. You're committed to searching X instead of
Yeah,
Y.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Unless you're playtesting, but yeah, definitely. You got to make sure that you watch out, right? Because ultimately, what you place, right, overrides what you say. Am I right?
No. That's always generally verbal overrides action.
Okay.
Verbal
But
overrides
if you
action.
don't say like if you say I'm searching for let's say you activate Fenrir effect and you say you're searching for unicorn, but you actually pull out Rise Heart, you still get to search unicorn.
Okay.
But if you don't say anything and you put Rise Heart on the table, you are searching Rise Heart.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I experienced that with a few specific locals members that I shall keep unnamed, but they it's not rule sharking necessarily, but it is. I think if they point it out at locals, it's a good thing. I
Most
don't.
people aren't gonna like make you do that at locals. Yeah,
Yeah, most people, James.
it's insane.
So like, I guess for like an example, right? So for like playtesting, if you have like weird hands like this, like I think this is
Just
a
roll
great
again.
example. This is a great example of talking.
Yeah, you just roll again. It's just not worth like it's a. I mean, you should still keep note of it in case your deck actually is bricky, but
Right, but I think maybe like in this case, you could, if you're playtesting, be like, okay, hey, if I just had these three cards, like, what's the best way to sequence things? I'm looking at it as like draw phase, not ritual, sorry, draw
you can't drop
phase,
into
like
that.
Magatama, but like if you're going second, right? If you're going, or sorry, yeah, if you're going second, draw phase Magatama, target card in the field.
You cannot drop phase that, right?
Is it main phase only? Yeah, it is main phase only.
Right.
Bro.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But you see that's how you learn though, right?
Yeah.
And as an example right there, right? We had James over there, peering and looking and saying, "Hey, okay, no, you cannot do that," and Neji was trying to do that, right? So that's the positive thing. You might be doing maybe an illegal play or maybe an incorrect play, and then your playtesting partner can be able to clarify that for you.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my god, people should know their side patterns too. Holy shit. You
Oh,
shouldn't have to think about that.
yeah. Well, like, especially against meta, like you should know what cards you're taking out and putting in. I could see maybe thinking a little harder about ratios if it's against certain decks. Like if nothing in your side really impacts a deck you're playing against, like that's rogue. Maybe it might get a little weird, but yeah, for sure you should have down what you're what you're taking out of the main and what you're putting in.
I'm not gonna lie, I just started kind of doing that last year. I think I got that from, I think it was Josh Wishman. He was talking about, or no, it was actually what's the Dragon Link player that, I forgot his name. Starts with an S, like Shang something, I forgot. But he was doing a deck profile and he was kind of talking about knowing your side patterns and when to take things out or what to take out specifically and what to side in and stuff like that. And since I've been doing that, I've noticed, quite a dramatic change, because I'm somebody that that really enjoys deck building, especially since I like to play tier 2 or rogue decks.
Mm-hmm.
So deck building for me is something that's real fun. So when I'm building my deck, I am thinking about, okay, well, game 2, what cards am I going to be able to take out, you know, and then building the side deck to say, okay, well, for these matchups, I'm going to have these cards, and then again looking at the cards that I can side out, which cards are going to be appropriate to side out, which are ones to keep in, and vice versa, is something that can very much impact the win rate of your playing style.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Because you don't want to think about these things when you're at the NAWCQ, right? What am I going to side out? Is this card good to side out? You don't want to think about those things right then and there, right? You want to have
No.
that knowledge prior to it.
Yes. Yes, because that's just more brain power, and more brain power thinking about what you're going to side in means less brain power when you're actually dueling, right?
You know what stress does when you're dueling?
What?
You shuffle back the engraver instead of the requiem, huh?
Damn straight. Yeah, so like, here's like a probably just a pretty standard K9 VS list, I imagine. Or something I have.
Okay, like you have to think about this matters for when you build your side deck too. It doesn't matter if you put in 9 going first cards, but you don't have, or not 9. That's an exaggeration. If you're putting in 9 going second cards, make sure you actually have room for them when you side them in. Like
right.
And you want to make sure that your strategy is not hindered either, right? You don't want to be taking out, main deck card,
Yeah.
core component cards from your deck to be able to fit in extra cards, right? So that's when planning what you can side in and what you can side out is going to be very crucial.
Yep. So like, I don't know what the siding patterns have been in the OCG for VSK9, but taking this as an example, let's just say we have
Holy,
right?
Charmy gang in there.
Charmy gang, right? So like obviously Vanquisher likes to reveal attributes, and we've got a fire. Ash, you have to keep in mind for consistency, right? Because it's a fire. Bell, you got to keep in mind because it's an earth. Imperm, I think is pretty flexible. So like, let's say you're going second with VS, and again, this is with the testing. This is where testing comes in, and I haven't done enough with this quite yet. But you're looking at this, you're probably thinking again, maybe matchup dependent, but probably the Droll, probably the Imperm coming out because K9 VS already is an interruption by itself, right? It's a hand trap engine. So my theory when I put these in, when I was just throwing this shit together, was, hey, I want to get more into the K9 and VS engine. Like I want to see these cards more. So I'm gonna take out my hand traps and throw them in. Now you could also argue, hey, maybe these just like Droll probably maybe isn't worth it in the main. If you're trying to draw more going second, maybe it's just worth taking the Imperm and the Droll out for a Fua and a Pralia.
Definitely. Can't wait. I can't wait. We get Justice Hunters, get some more power creep in here.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Nothing's felt like power creep to me since Pote.
I think I don't know. I disagree with you on that, James. I think Fiendsmith is going to get power creep. I don't think we're going to see as much.
No, I'm saying I don't think like everything relative to Pote has been lower power.
Oh, yeah.
Or I guess specifically Darkwing Blast, but
man, Pote was like the first time since I came back to the game that I actually felt power creep in real time. When Sprite came out, man, that was just insanity.
Well, it's funny because in hindsight, Danger Tier is probably still the best deck.
True. I thought that tier was very fair until we got the Shufflers and the Millers.
Because we hadn't solved it yet, but Danger Tier is functionally an FTK.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this card's funny too. It's part of the other sport.
Ooh.
It's a search, spell trap, or a monster, right? Whatever.
Let's go.
On summon. The other funny part, it's an attribute changer, which is interesting.
That's crazy.
And it's got a trigger while it's in your grave, right?
Interesting.
So you can chain block.
We love that.
Yeah. So like, yeah, there's interesting stuff you can do with this deck. It's
You've been cooking, huh?
I've been cooking. Max rarity, yo. Max rarity Monarch, watch out.
Let's go.
Man, see, as a judge, I'm just like, I don't want to read these cards.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm gonna have to skip that locals you're going to, man.
I'll let you know. Abdul, don't come to locals today.
No, it's okay. Let me know so that way I can play the zombie version of Eldritch, not the Fiend.
Oh hell yeah.
I got you.
What is it? It just locks out like special summon effects or something?
Oh yeah. So domain, while I've known an extra deck, and I only play controls of tribute summon, you can't special from extra deck.
Okay, but what if I normal summon Rabina into this?
If you normal summon Rabina, I think this only triggers on specials, so that'd be useless.
Yeah. I got both of you guys checkmated with the Zombie World because both of you guys can't.
That's true.
You guys can't tribute something.
Facts. Facts. Wait.
Floodgates.
Wait. I swear there's a zombie one in here somewhere. One of these zombie? Yeah. Ah.
There you go.
There was
There's
zombie.
no way.
There's your target.
That's very funny.
I was like, I swear. Oh, there's so many monarchs. Yeah, I can't wait. You know, it's kind of spoiler alert. Whoever's made it to this far into the video, but I guess seen solo leveling,
Of course.
bro. I
Part of
want
it.
to. I'm trying to get like the solo leveling smile on the Erebus, and put that as like the cover art.
By the way, if you're this far into the video and you haven't hit the like button, can we get a like on the video?
A like, a comment, a subscribe. There's more.
All
Yeah.
of the above, you know?
Yeah, I got merch going here. It's not quite up yet on the channel, but eventually it will update and hopefully post our very first product. So
I seen it. You want to get it. Trust. Trust.
it'll be there. It's solid. It's hip. It's now. It's wow.
It's Neji.
It's edgy. All right. Well, that's gonna be it for our very first. I don't know what you guys want to call it. Pod. YouTube pod.
Rambling session.
2 pod. Yeah. Talking out of our
Yugi
asses.
Yap. Call it Yugi Yap.
Yugi, yeah.
Yugi Yap.
Ooh, Yugi Yap. I kind of like that.
Yapping about Yu-Gi-Oh, you know?
I'll call it Yugi Yap part series 1. I like
There
it.
you go.
I
Series
like
1.
it. All right.
Well, thank you for having
closing
us.
thoughts?
Thank you for having us. Definitely appreciate it. I'm always down to yap, so thank you, and
Yeah.
thank you to everybody listening to me yap as well.
Always fun to talk about the best card game.
He said it. I didn't say it.
Yeah, I don't know. You wake me when I can Ashiono in Pokemon.
Yeah. All right.
Good luck to everybody at the table CQ. I hope everybody does good. Hopefully, the information that we gave you guys today will help steer you in the right direction, get you guys ready. And then, of course, leave us your thoughts in the comment down below, right, Neji?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Drop them. Love to talk more with you guys about this. And we probably won't be doing another one of these, honestly, until Postnats. But Postnats is going to be really fun to talk about. So we'll have plenty more to talk about this Postnats.
We'll be back at it.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
All right. Cool. Well, thanks to everybody watching. Like they said, like, comment, subscribe. A lot of fun stuff. And James Abdul, thank you guys a ton. That was fun. And yeah, Neji out.